Scott, is it a surprise to see Crown has received a takeover bid?
Ricardo, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. Of course, we know that Packer has been shopping Crown around a little bit already, including Blackstone, I should say, taking almost a 10% stake last year. They were clearly interested in fishing around. They put their foot on the stock, and today, a takeover offer.
$11.85, is that a good deal? Because, as you mentioned, didn't Crown put itself on the selling board essentially when it made public that deal with Win a few years ago?
Yeah, look, it really did. I don't think it's any real surprise that James Packer's happy to get out of Crown, and frankly, the rest of the board happy to take a good price if they get it. Is it a good price? It's a hard one because we've seen, of course, it's the best price for the last 12 months, but the lowest price for the previous 3 years before that. So it kind of depends on what your time frame is. I think it's probably a pretty good deal for private equity if they get it. If they get through the Royal Commission unscathed, and if they can get it back to its former glory, it's a pretty good price they're paying, I think.
Do you think, though, that the Crown board will be waiting for better deals?
They'll certainly be shopping this around. This is takeovers 101. The first thing you do is you say you're not going to commit to the first one. You go and try and find someone else to buy. And if you can't, you still say no and hope they come back with another 5 or 10% just to sweeten the deal. So there'll be a lot more to play out just yet. They certainly won't be rushing to take up this offer off the bat.
What do you make of the timing, given the Royal Commission starts on Wednesday?
I think this is a bit of a play by Blackstone to basically, if not a get out of jail free card, there is a sense that this is a bit of a, let us take this away for you. Let's take away the problems you're suffering from. And for current shareholders who are saying, well, hang on, we don't know what happens next. We might take this money. Let's lock this in now while we've got the chance. So I'm very sure the time is not accidental. It's probably not a bad time to do it. Of course, the investors are a little bit concerned.
Given that James Packer owns a third of the company, I'm guessing or assuming that he pretty much holds the controlling say, right? What would it take to get Packer over the line?
I think he's pretty keen to sell, but he also won't want to sell for too cheap a price. This is the largest and the trophy asset in the Packer stable right now. And so to some degree, the money that he gets for this asset does determine what the company and the family does next, of course, after this. I think he wants to sell. I think he wants out from everything that we know. As you say, they've already put the company up for sale, potential sale in the past. It's just a question of whether they get enough money. I think he needs to be seen to be playing coy, but I'm pretty sure he'd be happy to get a deal done.
How significant will this be for James Packer? Because as you mentioned, this is the jewel in the crown. You know, he was a big media player. He is a big player in casinos. If he leaves casinos, what next?
Fascinating, isn't it? I mean, this is to some degree also the end of the public, Packer profile in terms of listed companies. Going back to, of course, PBL, the Publishing Broadcasting Limited, way back in the day, and everything that's happened to Channel 9, the media assets, rolling that in the crown, as you rightly say. Packer's interesting. He's really taken a much more private profile over the last 5 or 6 years. Of course, his own personal struggles as well. That's been a tough journey for him. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's happy just to be out of the public eye a little bit more for a little bit longer. Of course, where that money goes and where it gets invested, that's a fascinating question. I don't have an answer really, honestly, but I'll be fascinated to see where he decides there's value next.
And finally, what do you know about Blackstone, this private equity company, and how does it essentially change other firms or other casinos? What kind of experience does it have?
Yeah, look, private equity is all about cash flow, right? These guys are masters of cash. And with, frankly, the money being so cheap, the cost of money close enough to zero for anyone who cares to dig around, this is all about the cash flow. We should see the usual private equity playbook, getting rid of undue cost, of course, getting rid of uncertainty around the Royal Commission. They'll have to wear that, but they're wearing that potentially as a private company. I imagine we'll have to see it levered up with debt and then potentially refloated back onto the market or sold to a trade buyer in a much better position. And of course, after COVID washes through in 3 or 4 years' time.